In Echo, one of the awesome things is that you can have all these different conversations coming into one centralized place, which is great. It's fantastic, makes it super easy. However, sometimes it's like, how do I kind of organize these messages as they're coming in? And so we've built a system to handle that, which is...
Right. Oh, the filtering system.
Yeah. And what does that do?
It filters the message, actually, to be more specific.
Yeah.
It takes the message that we receive, and we can look at it, tell the admin, the users, that it comes in from what source, what language it's in, and then we can actually scan the message and look for keywords. And that's what we've been able to do up until now.
Yep. And so today we're going to show you the new filtering system that we've just rolled out. And it's going to do that, of course, but plus a lot more. So to get started, we go over into the admin side. We're under settings in the filters area. And at the top, I've already kind of pre-selected some filters sources up here. But remember, these sources can be anything that comes into Echo. So it could be Facebook or WhatsApp or email or chat or whatever it is. Those sources have been selected. And so once we've done that, we then get to indicate what languages we want to filter on. And Echo auto detects the language based on the message that's coming in. So for instance, if you wanted to go in and you wanted to detect if it was Chinese, then you can add that as one of the options. And if we detect Chinese, then you can set off a set of rules specific to Chinese. But today's, my Chinese is a little rusty. I don't know about yours.
Yeah, mine too.
So we're going to stick to English and do it inside there. So by default, there's nothing in here yet. It's just totally empty. And it just has one item, so I guess it's not totally empty, called catch-all, which is just everything. So right now, it's just going to say, I've detected it's English, and so here's everything. Where should it go? And it's just going to go to these destination permission sets that I set up before the video started. However, that's not super useful. Instead, what we're more interested in, although it could be you just want everything that's in Russian to go to a particular group of people. You could certainly do that by just creating one in that, or to give an example here, if we wanted the Chinese example, we could go to the wildcard, add in a destination permission set, and say, hey, this permission set gets everybody any message that was in Chinese. But for this conversation, we're going to really focus in on how do we create those filters. So let's pick a topic. What's something that's common to talk about inside of Echo, Daniel?
Depression is very, very common.
Yeah, so for sure. And so let's talk about creating a new filter, and we'll call it depression. And right now, if I just click create, all it's going to do is just kind of create this, but really nothing's happening in it yet.
Right.
I've just given it a name. And so what do I want to do next to kind of get this going?
Well, we want to add keywords that are contextually relevant to the subject of depression. So that's right. These are some of our, we're very familiar with these being in the depression conversations for sure.
So I've added depressed, sad, lonely, and then I added another one that I didn't spell all the way out.
Spelled kind of funny. Why did you do that?
Right. So I did that because Echo's going to look and see, is there any word that starts with the letters D-E-P-R-E-S and then anything else after that? So imagine it's kind of like an asterisk at the end of every word. So sometimes you don't want to conjugate it all the way out to depressed or depression. Instead, you could just type that and it would pick up any of those that would get caught inside here.
So in a sense, it's a little redundant because you actually have you have depressed and depress.
That's
so
right.
It would actually pick that up, but
Yep.
It doesn't hurt to add in these extra.
Well, sure, right. And I think I'm just trying to show the examples of how you would do it. So once we've done this, now the next question is, if a message comes in and it has the word depressed, it's going to be picked up by this filter. Does it have to have the word depressed, sad, lonely, and depress in it?
No, that's right. So each one of these keywords, it's like a or between each one of these. So
right.
Like depressed or sad or lonely. You don't have to have sad and lonely both in the same message.
It's just any one of those
That's
keywords
right.
will show up in that.
That's right.
And so when we look over here and we see depressed, sad, or lonely, or depressed, it's just one of those. And then we have these other options like religion. And by default, all of these are kind of collapsed just to make it easier to read. on what things you're using and not using. So if you're not using any of these, it'll stay collapsed. If you filled it in with any information, it'll stay expanded just for you to see it a little easier. And so here's a way for you to now sort by if they've indicated what religion they are or what country they're from or any other geographic data there. This is new. You can also go in and say inside of these sources that I've chosen, these major sources, I can also go in and just choose maybe specific forms. So for those of you that have multiple websites where you have multiple forms, you could indicate which ones of those forms do you want this particular filter to apply itself to.
An example might be if I have a sports ministry that covers many sports, but I know I want to catch baseball players, then I can say this is the baseball form.
That's right. Yeah, that's on my baseball
on my
website
baseball
page.
website. Yeah, right.
So you'd be able to click that and choose those there. And then over here is gender. You can, if gender is specified through the form that you're using or through the medium that you're having this conversation through, then we can detect that as well and route it based off of the gender they've identified themselves. And then two other things. We have to, once we've done that, we have to indicate a destination permission set of where is this going to go to. So your permission sets will look better than ours. But remember, if you're new to Echo, a permission set is just a group of people and what permissions they have permission to use.
And this is especially important because if you don't include this destination permission set, it doesn't know where to send it. So it'll just skip all your hard work.
Skip it, right?
And just send it on to the next.
It'll go on down to the next filter. Okay. And then in the upper right-hand corner, we have the ability to label these. We have, of course, just a default, which is essentially not a label. And then we have important, urgent, and emergency. And we've just color-coded these and given them each a specific icon. So if I do this now and have created this, you'll see that it's called depression. It's red. It's kind of showing us a few of our words that we have here listed as our keywords. So right now, a message has to come in from any of these sources that has the word depressed, sad, lonely, or something that starts with depress. And if so, it's going to assign it to this permission set, right?
Looks good.
So I've kind of hopped over from Echo. I'm going to go into a Wufoo form, and I'm just going to type in a name here. And once we put this in, put in a fake email address. And I mean, I could choose things like a gender and a phone number. I could do all that. I'm going to just skip down to here where we've got this input field, and I'm depressed. And we'll go ahead and submit that. And so once we've submitted that in, if I go over to Echo, you'll see over here in the queue is this item in the queue, and it's got this red caution sign next to it, I guess. And so this is this emergency identifier. So we can see that it works. We can see that it picked up the filter depression and that it's here in English is what we've got on there. So this worked. It did exactly what we expected to. We see here's the name of the person. Here's their conversation that they've sent in. And here's the key message that it keyed off of to do that. Okay, let me go ahead and close this one out, and let's talk about adding multiple filters into Echo. So let's add another one, and on this one, I'm going to call this one Really Depressed. And inside here, I'm going to also put, just to kind of demonstrate how this works, I'm going to put that same keyword depressed in it, and I'm going to assign that to our one set to rule them all. So now, Daniel, I have a pop quiz for you.
Uh-oh, here we go.
I've got this filter called English, and inside that I have these two filters that we've created. One's called depression, one's called really depressed, and they both have the same keyword. What's going to happen when a new message comes in and it detects that it's English?
Right. Well, since it's going to start at the top and work its way down, it's going to hit English, and then it's going to hit this depression that's red, the emergency one, first, and it's going to be grabbed there because that's the first one in the order, the priority, that has that as a keyword.
Yes. And so to demonstrate this, I'm going to click on this second one, and I'm going to change it to a green level of important. And once I've done that, I'm actually going to just take this and drag it on top. Easy for me to say. I'm going to drag it right here on top like this. And when I do that, now that it's first in line, if I have the word depressed, it should show up green instead of red like we just saw in the previous example. I'm going to hop over here. I'm going to go back to my form. We'll create another one here. We'll give an email address. That's fake, of course. And come down here, and I'm depressed. I could write more words here. I'm just writing just that just to give a quick example. And then I'm going to come over here into the queue. And when I do, you'll see that pop in, and you'll see it's got this green exclamation point because we put that one on top. That's the one that's selected here. So you can really fill these out many layers. You can have a lot of layers here. And just remember, it's going to try this one, and it'll try everything in this one. And if yes, it will stop here. If no, it'll drop down to the next one. It'll try everything here. And if nothing's here, it'll drop down to the next one. And so just remember, as you create these filters, you want to make sure that you've thought through all the different ways someone could spell or misspell a particular word or phrases. You want to look at trying to maybe type most of the word, but not all of the word if you feel like it's enough that it would be pretty unique to that. And then, of course, as time goes on, you can monitor this and test it and make refinements to this. And then lastly, you want to put this order around these to make sure that you're putting the most important ones. You want to capture them early and not later. Now, one other example that I wanted to share really quickly is inside this, if I went and put that the gender had to be male on this first one, right? So now this second one does not have a gender specified. So it has to match what Daniel was talking about, the and. So in this case, it has to match depressed and it has to match male. So if I go to this form and type in depressed, but indicate my gender is female or don't indicate, then it's not going to use this one. And instead, it's going to jump down to this one down below where a gender is not specified. So you want to be very careful about how you create these. You want to take your time thinking through all the different parts of this because, as you go down those layers, you may have a lot of issues there that you didn't quite think through when you first started making them. But this is a super powerful tool. In the industry, they call this kind of skills-based routing, where we can route particular conversations to a team that has expertise in being able to handle that. Sure hope this has been exciting for you. We're excited about this release of the new filtering system. And of course, as always, anytime you have a question, reach out to us and let us know. And if you're not familiar with Echo and you're looking at becoming an Echo customer, go to echoglobal.org. There's a place you can contact us there, and we would love to have a conversation with you, hear more about your ministry, and see if Echo is a great fit for you. Until next time, have a great day.